Ready?
Let's do this.
Hello everyone, I hope you're doing great. I'm here with my good friend Marco Regil. He is a TV host for The Price is Right, Family Food in Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
in U.S. Hispanic too.
U.S. Hispanic too. Yeah. That's exactly right. He's also vegan.
Yeah.
He's a spiritual being having a human experience.
Another one.
He is a very, very, very dear friend of mine. He's like my brother. I love you so, so much.
I love you too.
And I thank you for coming here to my channel and for sharing this information with me, with everyone who's watching. And yeah, just thank you. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here in your channel. You're like my little sister.
Yes.
My lovely sister, and I'm happy to be here. And I mean, whatever we can share about things that make people grow. Well, you know, exactly. That's what I love doing.
Yes, I love that. All over your platforms, you are all about growth and learning together.
Yeah.
You and your following, and I love that about you. Thank you. Recently, you've been going through something that's been very important and present in your life. And can you share a little bit about what is present for you now?
Well, it was the loss of my mother. My mother died out of Alzheimer's at 85 years old. And she had it for, I don't know, about 12 years. It's hard to know when it started. But as you know, Alzheimer's is dementia. So you start forgetting who people are, where you are. There's a day where they don't remember who you are, which is a very painful day. That's in reality, that's when they start leaving. Because once your mom or your dad doesn't know who you are, it's really hard to see them in the eye and realizing that they just don't know who you are. Mm. It's really strong. So, you know, years went by and she passed on February the 15th. And the last thing they forget is how to eat and drink, because there's like a flap here that, you know, distinguishes when you're chewing on something or there's liquid coming, it closes so it doesn't go to your lungs, it goes to your stomach. Yeah. But when they forget to do that, then the food or the liquids start going to the lungs, and then they cannot drink anymore, they cannot eat anymore. And my mom passed after 15 days of having no water, no food, which was really impressive to all of us. She was on morphine, so she was not in pain. But it was a really uncomfortable situation. So the beginning was beautiful because we had the opportunity of saying goodbye to her. You were there, you were visiting, you were amazingly supportive and beautiful, as you always are. And it was great to say goodbye to her. But then the last days were really hard to see because she was, you know, there was saliva coming out of her mouth and she was like getting like so skinny. So it was a very hard process. And I decided to share that on social media. I started sharing about the passing of my mom before she passed, and I started just doing it out of desperation. I was in the middle of the night, I couldn't sleep, and I started posting pictures of her, like doing relating anecdotes about her. I said that the day that I fear the most, which is the passing of my mom, is getting closer. Wow. And once I started sharing, people were amazingly loving, and they started sharing back. People who have gone through this before, they started sharing their loving and their wisdom, because it's something so important that happens to all of us, but we don't talk about it. It's like a taboo subject. Yes. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Exactly.
So knowing what the path is, or what the stages of this are, or what the sensations of people who have gone through this before, it started helping me a lot. So I started sharing more and more, and some videos got millions of views.
Yes, they went viral everywhere. Like, I don't know, 12 million all over Facebook, and then they're on YouTube. But your Facebook Lives are just beautiful, where you share from the heart, and everyone really interacts, and it's this really beautiful atmosphere that always happens in your social media platforms, which I love. And
just your like yours.
And your podcast too. He has a podcast on his website, and I love how you just, you know, you're a TV host, you're very, very, very famous, but then you show this vulnerable side on your social media platforms, which I think is great, and it not only helped you, but it helped so many. It's helping so many other people.
The beginning was just like literally sharing for myself, because I started getting a lot of love and a lot of good advice and good guidance from the people who have gone through this. But then I realized that it was healing a lot of people, because a lot of people started valuing what they had. And they started like telling me, I just hugged my grandmother, I just gave a kiss to my father, I just realized I need to spend more time with my family now that I have them. And it started creating a very beautiful, unique communication, a very loving process. And then I realized that I could find meaning to the departure of my mom from this world by sharing and by creating hugs and love and time that my followers were sharing now with their loved ones, because they said, well, Marco's mom is leaving, or Marco's mom left, but I still have my parents with me. Why do I have to wait until they get sick or something happens in order for me to be there? Because it's really interesting, and we were talking about it on the podcast, of how interesting it is that sometimes we're so busy. Right? We're so busy with all our stuff, and we don't have time for the people that we love. But then suddenly something happens, an accident, a sudden death, or they go to the hospital, and then suddenly we have all the time in the world. We cancel everything and we're there.
Exactly.
So why do we have to be so extreme? Why cannot we make some time without an emergency happening in order to be there and share our loving?
What is kind of the process that you've dealt with?
I didn't know about it, and I'm glad that we're doing this segment, because even though it's a very uncomfortable subject, we're all going to go through it. And some of us are going to go through this several times in our lives, not only with mom or dad, but the grandparents, a husband or a wife. Some people are going to lose a kid, which is extremely, extremely painful. A loved one, like an animal, like a cat or a doggy or a pig or someone that we have in our homes as part of our family. So it's really important that we're talking about it. So what happens initially is a shock. There's a shocking moment when you find out they died, or like in my case, that the doctor called me and said, your mom is in the last stage of Alzheimer's. She cannot drink anymore. She cannot eat anymore. She's just going to starve until she dies. And this could take 3 days, 10 days, 15 days, a month, the most. It's a very strong hit on your head and ideas, and just like, and then it comes a denial. And the lack of acceptance is like, no, how is this happening? This is not happening. And then you start crying and go like, oh my God, how is this possible? It's not my mom. Why my mom? Or why my dad? And why me? And why my family? And you start going into this denial. I don't want this to be true. So you start pushing the reality and not accepting it. And then for a lot of us, it happened to me, we start getting angry. Some people get angry at God. Some people get angry at life. Some people get angry at the person who's passing. Some people get angry at themselves and they start feeling guilty. Some people get angry at the whole situation, or they just become very, very susceptible to getting angry about anything. Traffic, finances, anything. It's just, we just get angry. Anger and depression. Then that's another one that comes later. It's depression. Depression meaning I don't want to get up. I don't want to eat. Or I'm overeating. I'm numbing myself with food or alcohol or sugar or sex or laughing, or I just don't have energy. I don't eat anything. I don't want to get up. I don't want to take a shower. I don't want to talk to anyone. Life is not worth it. Suicidal thoughts come into the mind. Why am I alive?
What's the purpose?
What's the point? What am I going to do without him or her? So is the shock, then is the anger, then is the depression and lack of energy. Little by little. Some people take years. That's the other thing. There's no time. Some people take weeks. Some people take years. But there's a piece, like an inner piece that starts showing up little by little. The wisdom, the connection with God and the universe, the lesson. Because when the universe takes something away from you, it's always going to offer something in exchange for that. And is that depth, that growth, that inner connection. You're in my case, my mother is not living anymore outside, but she started living inside me. And that's what people told me on social media. And that's why it was so helpful, because they said, Marco is not going to be the same. You're going to cry a lot because you won't be able to look at her in the eye or grab her hands and kiss her and see her smiling, but you'll start feeling her inside you.
Wow. And
it's true. And when I read that, when I was at the worst of the moments, that gave me some hope. And I can tell you that it's true. It just starts changing. So the acceptance comes at the end, but then you think you're in acceptance and you're in peace, and then all comes back. Goes back to the shock, and goes back to the anger, and goes back to the depression, and then you feel another moment of peace and wisdom, and then you go back. So it's not like step 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
No, it's not like going on the freeway.
Yes.
So it gets all really crazy. It's like a hurricane. It's like an earthquake, and there's no logic to anything, and it's good to know it. I didn't know it.
No.
And you didn't know it either.
No,
right?
I didn't know. I didn't know either. And I think that's why this information is so valuable, because by you talking about it, people get into the conversation of this subject that is a lot of times taboo, that people don't really talk about it, because social media is all about being happy and showing your perfect life. And once you start talking about this on social media, it's so helpful, like creating these videos. So I'm so grateful that you came and shared this with us, because of course you can have this kind of information in books, but not everyone's going to be going out there and reading books. And for people to know that it's normal, like you were telling me, like any little emotional thing that you're feeling is normal during this whole process. And it's fine, and you honor that.
A lot of people recommended books to me, and some people have the energy and the peace of mind to start reading books. I couldn't. I bought a couple of them, and I just don't have the energy to read about the process. I was better off listening to some audios, watching some videos on YouTube. Basically, my information came from the comments on social media, from people that have gone through this. Those have been my books.
That's so amazing.
Because I don't have the energy to read more than a couple of lines about it.
Of course.
And then seeing seeing my own stuff and saying, this is what they were talking about.
Wow.
Right?
Seeing other people's process on YouTube or on a podcast, you know that you're not alone, that you're not the only one that has gone through this, and there's so many other people.
Yeah.
And
that's why it's so shocking, because it's going to happen to everyone. To some of us, maybe several times. I mean, a few months ago, I lost Lucy, my doggie. I'm not comparing Lucy to my mom, but hey, Lucy was my daughter. I mean, she was with me I adopted her when she was 4, right?
Yes.
And she was my little baby, my daughter,
and
she was with me every day. So I went through that, and I think that God, actually, the universe, used her, or she volunteered somehow to train me for my mom. Because if I hadn't gone through the process of losing Lucy, that prepared me to then say goodbye to my mother. Obviously, the level of pain is not comparable, but at the moment when I lost Lucy, that was the hardest thing I've ever lost, the hardest moment I've ever lived.
Wow.
So then it's like you train for something, and then there's another level, and that happened. But we're all going to go through it several times. I mean, through our lives.
That's true.
And not talking about it doesn't help.
Something else is the quote that you have in the front of your door that I thought was just came in the perfect moment for you. Yeah,
because that's the end of the stages. That's the last part of it, when you start getting the spiritual lesson that comes with the departure of a loving relative or friend. And Eckhart Tolle, which is a great teacher, I highly recommend his books, The Power of Now and The New Earth, is not an author that I would recommend for anyone, because he's pretty advanced.
Yeah.
If you're beginning the spiritual path, I would rather have you read Miguel Ruiz's the Mastery of Love and the Four Agreements, and Wayne Dyer and many other authors. Yeah. Eckhart Tolle is pretty advanced. If you don't understand what he's talking about, I mean, you're going to fall asleep reading the book. It happened to me the first time. Years later, I got it. So what he says is that for a lot of people, pain and suffering is a teacher, because only when we go deep into that pain or that suffering is when we wake up into who we really are, into what God really is, into what life is really about. So it's that deep suffering and that deep pain that wakes you up. If you decide to stay in this world.
Exactly.
Because if you give in to one of those thoughts that says, let's get out of here, this is not worth it anymore, and you just take your life away, then you're missing out on the most beautiful and loving lesson. But for that lesson, you have to stay here. So forget about it being a sin. Forget about it of any beliefs that say, that's wrong and God is not going to like it. Your mom is not going to like it. There's nothing that comes just because. There's always a beautiful, deep lesson in there. So why leave if that's maybe the most important lesson we're gonna go through in this life.
Like you've told me, life is school.
Yeah.
So we're here to learn.
Yeah.
And to grow. And we grow sometimes through suffering.
Sometimes. We don't have to all the time.
And we awaken spiritually
Yeah.
into suffering, into our purpose, into meaning to life, and into who we really are. Maybe giving ourselves self-love, giving self-love and tuning into those moments when we're suffering to know like, wow, this is a moment when I have to be very gentle with myself too.
Yeah. And there's some pain that you cannot avoid because there's a separation happening when someone leaves. Yeah. But there's other suffering that is optional. Mm-hmm. Because when I suffer is when I catch myself telling myself a horrible story about what happened.
And believing that story.
Like I've been abandoned.
Yes.
I'm an orphan. Yeah. I'm alone. Mm-hmm. Nobody's with me. Which are all misunderstandings of reality. Because my mom didn't leave. My mom has just left her body, but she's still in the universe.
True.
And she's now inside me. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm used to seeing her. That I miss. That's unavoidable. But if I focus on she's gone, and that's why I don't even use the word dead.
Yes. I
have you noticed? I just say like she left her body. She's with God. She's inside me. Mm-hmm. But if I start saying that she died and I'm alone, and then unnecessary suffering is created. And there's a stage where you might have to go through that, which is fine. Yeah. But the more I prolong those sad stories in my mind, the more I'm gonna suffer. Yes. If I focus more into mom is happy, mom is with God, mom is with Jesus. She was a big believer, and she wanted to be a nun when she was young, and now she's with Jesus and she's hugging him, and she's with him forever, and this is her dream. She's singing, and she doesn't have any physical pain anymore, and she doesn't have to suffer for anything, and there's no hunger and no pain, no physical pain, nothing. So when I go into that story, then I can be very happy. I miss her, and I'll still cry because of that. But if I focus my attention in there, then the suffering is just shorter, less intense. And that's an option.
Yes, and there's always going to be pain when you remember that. Yeah. But moving into a state where you are in acceptance.
And when tears and when sadness comes in, open it up. Open up to it. Yeah. If you're going to suffer, you're going to cry it out. Cry all you can cry. Yeah. Sometimes, and some people have told me like, "Oh, Marco, but that's crazy of you." But sometimes I play songs that make me cry, that remind me of my mother, like Mexican music and music that she used to love and that she used to sing to me. And I cry with the music, but when I finish crying, I hear the song maybe 2 or 3 times, and when I finish crying,
you feel so good.
Yeah. It's like you're drying the clothes, right? When you what do you call that? When you twist the clothing and to get all the water out of it, it's like okay, then it's dry. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather go deep into the suffering and into the tears and let it all out. Let it all out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The more you let it out, you'll rest after that. Mm-hmm. Because there's a point where you cannot cry anymore. Yeah, that's true. Cry so much that there's like I have no more tears. And then they come back, but it's like waves. So first there's waves that come every minute, and then the waves start coming every 5 minutes, and then every 15 minutes, and then days go by without crying, and then suddenly boom, they're back. But it's only back for half an hour. Yeah. And then it starts.
And maybe the intensity is different, right?
The intensity is different, and there's more acceptance and loving. Yeah. And I talk to her, right? Yeah. I tell her, I love you, I miss you. I tell her, like, come into my dreams, show up, give me a kiss, or show me what to do. And a lot of my friends, I'm not there yet because I'm not fully in acceptance. I'm getting there. But my friends who are fully in acceptance, they say they talk to their parents, loved ones, even more than they were alive, and they're talking to them all day long, and they're saying like, "Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?" Blah, blah, blah. And it's like they develop a relationship from within. Of course, I'm not there, but when I hear that, I go like, "Oh, well, that's beautiful." Like lately, something I've been saying is because now that she left, and I'm 47 years old, and I would love to have a family, and I would love to have a baby, and find my partner in life. So now since before she left, when she was in bed, I was telling her, "Mom, I want to get married. Show her to me. Help me find her." Help me find her. Help me see her. Yeah. Help me heal anything I need to heal in order to manifest that in my life. Wow. So I'm developing that conversation more and more with her. And
that's beautiful.
And it starts feeling good. Like I talk to a girl and go like, Mom, is this the one? Is this the one? Something I would never ever do in the physical world, right? I didn't want my mom getting into that. It was even the opposite. If she told me about someone, I was like, no.
Wow.
I'm going to pick her myself. But now that she's gone, it's different because it's like, show her to me. Because now she's in a different level of consciousness. Now she doesn't have judgments. Now she's not influenced by anything physical. She just knows, right? Yes. She's in that wisdom. She's one in the wisdom with the universe, with God. So now I'm going like, hey, let me know.
That's true. Yeah, put me signs.
Yeah, let me know. So
that's so beautiful.
And I've received some signs.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's good.
I'm
going to ask her too.
The other day, I was on a dating app.
Which one? Okay, sorry. I've never been on a dating app. Maybe I should try that.
I wasn't one because, it's like I write down I'm vegan, I have a healthy lifestyle because, there's not a lot of us.
I know.
I mean, there's millions. But still,
yes, it's
not like I don't want to go out with someone who's drinking and smoking and just partying like crazy. So I have a very specific, So, and I was starting to talk to this girl, was going back and forth. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, the app turned off.
No.
Like, it never has happened before. It just turned off. And I said, is the phone, is the battery or something? But no, just the app turned off. And they open it up. And, when you open the app back up, is like WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter. Well, the conversation is there. Yeah. And the conversation wasn't there. And I was like, did she delete me? I mean, it's like the possibilities of she deleting me are little because we were really talking. Yeah. And I sort of got the first thing that came to mind, and maybe I'm crazy, maybe this does have nothing to do with it, but I literally pictured my mom saying, no, not that one.
Not that one.
And it's the only time that has happened.
That's so funny.
The only time that has happened.
That's crazy.
Because the girl was vegan, she was a yogi, she was like in paper, it was like,
perfect.
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 And I was like, why do I, and then we're like, maybe, hold on a second. I've been asking her to show me. So maybe I'm wrong. It was just funny. Yeah, maybe I'm just making up a whole story, but you know what? Even if it's a story, it's a fun story.
Yeah, you like to see that story. We will entertain. That one
makes me happy, makes me laugh. Yes. And it's like, Mom, are you taking care? Are you going to be now like saying, hey?
I know. And it could also be maybe your interpretation of your inner counselor. Maybe.
Yeah. My inner wisdom. Your inner counselor.
Yes, your inner counselor. Your wisdom.
It could be. Maybe. Whatever it is, I'm just showing you a story that makes me happy. Yeah. That involves my mom not being physically here.
Exactly.
But I can also tell myself, and I do tell myself stories that are very sad and make me suffer.
Exactly.
But I'm just learning to tell myself
stories that are happy.
Yeah. And learning from the people who have gone through this process before, and it's been years for them. This is what they do. Yeah. They develop a new relationship.
Wow.
A spiritual, fun, loving relationship.
That's so beautiful.
Which doesn't mean that in Christmas you're not going to cry.
Of course.
Of course you're going to cry. Her birthday, of course I'm going to cry. Mm-hmm. When I want to see her eyes, of course I'm going to cry. It's normal. I'm human. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be like that all the time.
All the time.
Exactly.
Wow.
I mean, I see the picture of my doggie, Lucy. I have it in her bedroom. Sometimes I cry for Lucy, but it's not all the time.
Exactly. That's so true. Well, I think for me, what I learned is to really appreciate the people that we have, that we love, that we have now in our lives, and to spend that time with them. And it's okay, to put things on pause and just be with them and enjoy those moments. Because like you said, like in the end, what we're going to have left when that does happen is memories. Yeah. Sharing a meal or trips or just having a conversation and laughing. And I think that for those of us who do have our parents or special loved ones or our pets, any person that we love, to just really appreciate that and do it and spend time with them now and love them and show them love as much as we can. So I just want to say thank you so much, Marco. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me and for allowing me to give some meaning to my mom's departure, because the more I share it and the more I feel we can help other people go through this, or at least be aware of what's coming. the more I feel that my mom is still alive by sharing this, and I feel
and she's
like
still here.
Yeah.
She's living.
She is alive in a different energy, but and knowing that this story can create some loving on the other side of the social media.
Exactly. Yeah. So
awesome.
if you've gone through this, or if you're going through this, it would be amazing if you guys share in the comments below so that we can get a conversation started, support each other, inspire each other, learn from each other, and know that this is a family who's here to support you. If you guys don't follow him already, I recommend that you do. He's not only my dear friend and my big brother, but he's also a great teacher. For me, I've learned so much from you. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. So follow him everywhere. I will leave all of his links in the description of this video, his Instagram, Facebook, his website, marcoantonioregil.com, his podcast, everywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you because you were with me during the whole process. You were bringing food, you were visiting my mom, you were there, and you were so loving and supportive. And I really appreciate all that you did. But that's something I'll never forget.
Yeah.
You were one of those very good friends that were with me during the whole process, and that I'll never forget.
Well, I'm here for that process and for any other process.
And in my wedding.
And in my wedding, yes. Coming
girl.
soon.
She'll be not the flower girl. You'll be the fruit girl.
Yes, the fruit girl. I'll be giving away fruit to people. Yes.
Mangoes.
Yes.
Papaya.
Strawberries, grapes.
And blogging, of course.
Of course. Everything. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it if you guys liked it. Subscribe below to Rawvana.com where you can see this blog post written out. And I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye.
Bye. Let's do this.